guys today, did your war room, so to speak, have that kind of feeling like in 2011 maybe when Stephon and Tony Stewart and those guys were kind of popping up and saying Clemson?
Yeah, and I think that, again, the biggest thing was the situation at DB. We were pretty much done with our recruiting class until we had, you know, the attrition in the secondary. And so that was the game changer for us, and it was huge to be able to go and get Trayvon Mullen. It was big for us. You lose a guy like Mackenzie Alexander. You know, Trayvon's been a guy we've kind of been recruiting a long time, but, you know, circumstances changed once Mackenzie left. And, you know, Brian Dawkins was a kid that we gray-shirted that we have, you know, really high hopes for as far as his ability at corner. To be able to go to Kansas and get Isaiah Simmons, I mean, man, what a great prospect and a great family coming in here. You're beating Michigans and you know, Michigan States and all those type of Nebraskas, those type of programs. You haven't recruited him. You get on him late. Well, he's taking all these visits, and he comes here, and he's like, wow, this is where I want to be. I think that is, again, speaks to the strength of our brand. And then you look at a young man like Kayvon Wallace. You know, here's a guy that to me is a lot like Marcus Gilchrist, very dynamic like that. But here's a kid that in this summer he only had James Madison in Cincinnati. I mean, that's not a negative to those schools. That's great for them for evaluating this kid. But that was really the only offers he had. And so I think that's a reflection of what's wrong with recruiting. Because the way things happen so early now, you know what, guys still develop. You know, guys still go on and have great senior years. And now it's just like, okay, you miss out. Some of the bigger programs miss out on guys like that. T.J. Green. I'd never heard of T.J. Green until the Sunday before signing day. You know, a week before signing day. I'd never heard of him. And now he's going pro early. You know, so, you know, we beat UAB to get T.J. Green. I think Kayvon is an example of that, because all of a sudden he just has this phenomenal senior year, and he's got, you know, Ohio State, Michigan State. He's got all these offers that he earned on the field his senior year, and for whatever reason just wasn't really on the radar. And for us, we really weren't. We got a very small board at DB, but as we expanded it, we found this guy, and you know, so really fortunate to be able to get him. I mean, this kid can run, he can play corner, both safeties, can play nickel. I mean, there's a lot we're going to be able to do with that guy, just the way Marcus was. And then a kid like Nolan Turner. Here's a guy that we'd had in our camp, knew all about, and because of the expansion of our board and with the attrition, to be able to get a guy like Nolan Turner, who's 6'2", 190, and can run 4.4, and has all the intangibles to go with those measurables. He'll be as good. He'll be, and I don't know why other people haven't evaluated him, but he'll be as good a signing as there is in this class. There's no doubt about it. And we're just really fortunate that we were able to go and fill those needs like we did these last couple weeks.
How difficult was that, given 3 weeks ago you were playing for a national championship, and now you're back on the road trying to, you know, solidify this class?
Well, I mean, it was a little bit more of a grind than we thought it was going to be. We thought going, you know, that we would be spending more time really just going around and looking at juniors, but we were really grinding all the way, you know, through the finish line here, and you know, that's just the way it is. That's what we do.
Is there going to be room in this program for the, you know, T.J. Green type stories, Jarrett type stories, because you've got so many, you know,
Always.
5 stars interested?
Always. There will always be room for those guys. No doubt about it.
Coach, talk about the difference in signing day 5 years ago to today, because now you seem to be signing, you're getting most of your commits prior to the season and in the season, so it kind of takes away the big splash that used to be signing day. And not just here, but everywhere now that trend is going on.
Yeah, it's all changed. And to go back to your point, Dan, you know, you look at a guy like Hunter Renfro, because we're going to bring in probably about 4 or 5 preferred walk-on guys, and you know we're gonna have great success with those type of guys. You know, our program is we're going to play best guy, you know, not the most highly recruited guy. We're going to play the best guy, And, you know, all you got to do is look at Hunter Renfro in the national championship game. Here's a freshman walk-on that is doing pretty good. So, yeah, we'll always have room for that. But, yeah, it's just changed drastically over the last 6 or 7 years. And, I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, used to, when I was early years of my coaching, like in January was so stressful because you didn't know. You didn't know who, and you'd bring in, you might have 2 scholarships for wideouts, and you bring 6 in on an official visit weekend. And now you got 4 that want to come. I mean, it was just a much more stressful situation back in those days. And you really didn't know until signing day. But what has happened is with the internet and the social media and just all the information, first of all, there is no long distance anymore. Everybody can travel to every place without leaving their room. I mean, they can go and visit anywhere they want to go. You know, I'm just learning about this Periscope thing. I mean, I went to Italy the other day with somebody. I don't know how I got there, but I walked down the streets of Italy live. What a bizarre thing that is. I went to Dubai. So there is no long distance, all right? And I didn't even have to go anywhere. But it's changed everything. So these guys, they all know each other. You know, like used to, you had to like go somewhere to meet somebody. Now they all meet online and they meet at all these different camps and things like that. So there are no secrets anymore. Everybody knows, hey, Clemson's going to sign 3 wideouts. Everybody. So it's just a different deal. And some of it is good. I think that there's a lot of bad that comes with it too. That's why there should be an early signing period. You know, I've laid that out many times and addressed all the issues and concerns that anybody could have with that. But for whatever reason, we want to continue to not do that and be the only sport without it. And that's why there will always be stories like we've seen. And that's the bad part of the business. But you know, the good thing is, you know, if you're getting the right guys, it allows you to really do a good job of getting ahead on the next class. So, you know, we've got several commitments already for 2017, and the reason for that is because the majority of our work on this 16 class has been done. And so that's just the way of the times. And again, everybody knows, you know, okay, hey, they're going to take 1 quarterback. And, you know, you're going to offer 4. And so for us at Clemson, you know, we have to be very careful who we offer. I'm always trying to pump the brakes on that because guys they like it here. And we're going to sign a great class each and every year. And so, you know, we try to, especially early on, let's make sure we're getting our number 1 draft pick, if you will, if we're going to take early commitments. But that's the way it is. Well, I mean, I don't know until he gets here and gets going. But I didn't know if I'd ever see another guy like C.J. Spiller. I really didn't. But he's about as close to C.J. Spiller as any guy I've seen out there in the recruiting process. This guy is special, big-time talent, incredibly explosive and fast. He's a little bigger and stronger than C.J. was coming out of high school. But man, game-changing ability. You know, he's going to have to have a little shoulder surgery. He's been battling a little shoulder injury, played with it all year, and something that he really needs to go ahead and get fixed. So that'll probably set him back a little bit. But you know, I expect him to come in and compete and you know, be the dynamic player that he's been. But we'll see, you know, how he does as a freshman. But all I can tell you is he's going to have a great career. You know, I don't really get too much, you know, so many people judge these guys based on what they do as a freshman. And, you know, you don't get drafted based on what you do as a freshman. It's all about your career, and you should get better each and every year. And I don't have any doubt that'll be the case for Tavian.
Two-part question here. Do you expect Hugel to be on scholarship, and is everybody on the roster in good standing heading into spring ball?
Hugel's on scholarship right now. We put several guys. One of the best changes that we've had. We were able to put him on this spring. You know, hopefully we'll be able to keep him on. But you know, that's always part of the roster as far as roster management. As far as what happens this spring, I'm sure we'll have some guys that We'll go through the spring. Every year, we always have somebody that decides that they may want to move on. Dane Rogers is a young man that came to see me, and he's decided that he wants to, finish up here this spring and transfer probably to a 1AA school, and certainly have no problem with that. That's the decision that he's made, and support him in that. And then, like I said, we go through the offseason, go through spring practice, and then we have all of our exit interviews. From time to time, you may have somebody that has a better opportunity, wants to go play more, whatever, and I don't have any issues with that. And then from time to time, you have discipline issues, and certainly hope we don't have to deal with any of that. But that's the way it goes. But as far as our numbers, we're right on our number. We're not over at all. Cade right now is slated to be a gray shirt, but if something changes as far as the numbers, he'll be a guy that we would definitely want to bring in with the rest of this class.
Here's some things about Damon Hopper. Is he still with the team?
Yeah,
What's your
as
favorite?
far as I know. As far as I know, like I said, I've been on the road. Last time I heard he was with the team, but
What's your
we'll see.
favorite story from your visits this year, going down to visit kids and parents? And what'd you come away with as your favorite visit, or a little story you might have come out with?
Oh, I had lots. I mean, like I said, you'd have to give me a name and it'd trigger something with me. I had lots of great stories. Probably one of the coolest stories I said earlier today was going down to Trey Lamar's house. He had just moved into a new home. They'd only been there like a couple weeks in this neighborhood. They'd only moved down the road or whatever, and so we were going into the house or trying to find the house, and there's a house that had the Clemson flag hanging outside. I said, "Oh, this has got to be them right here." But it wasn't. He was the house next door, and I'm like, "Well, daggum, he's got a neighbor with a Clemson flag. That's pretty good." And so we go in the house, and we had a great visit, and I was like, "Well, who are these people next door?" And they're like, "Oh gosh," they had met him already, and they're huge Clemson fans, and I was like, "Well, let's go over and knock on the door." And so I don't know, it was 7:30, 8 o'clock, whatever. So we go over and knock on the door. And they answer the door, and they're in like their pajamas, and it was a husband and wife and a little girl, and they were like, I'm like, "What's happening?" And so you never know who's going to knock on your door. But I wanted to thank them for flying the Clemson flag, and so we went in the house and proceeded to get a tour through the entire house and every Clemson artifact that was in the house and how it got there, and really had a great time meeting some really nice folks, a couple of graduates from Clemson. So that was kind of neat, spending time with them.